Show you a quick exercise how you can do a simple form validation. That's going to be checking a string value to see if it includes, so using the string method includes. So we're checking to see if the email address is valid. Please enter a valid email address. And this is also checking within the HTML5. So if you do get that message, you want to turn it back into text. That's going to allow you to add in content that's not going to be a valid email. And then it's going to tell you that it is a valid email. So this is checking to see for the includes. I've added in an HTML email form. So it's just a simple form where we've got just the one input there, and we've got a button for submit, and it's got an area that we can provide a message. So it's got a submit button where we can submit a form, and now we're going to use the JavaScript in order to validate this form. So using the document, we can get the element, and we're going to use get element by ID. So this is going to allow us to select the email form. And I usually like to add these into objects. So set up a object called my form, selecting the page element where we've got the form object. And then for the my form, add in an event listener. And the event that we're listening for is going to be not going to be click, it's actually going to be submit. So this is going to be a submit button, and we're listening for the submission of the form. And then within here, we're going to be selecting the event object, so that way we can prevent the default action of the form submitting. So selecting that, and we're taking the event object and running prevent default. So this now, whenever we submit the form, there's no default action. So when we didn't have it, if we comment this out, you can see that within the web URL, when we submit it, it gets the question mark because it's actually submitting the form. But when we use the prevent default, that prevents the default action of the form, because what we want to do is we want to check to see if it's valid before any of the submission. So let's select the email, and using the document, we're getting the element by ID, and the ID of the element is email input. So that's selecting out the element with email input, and we want to return back the value of that. So this is going to be the submission value, is going to take the email and return back the value. And let's set up a message. So this is going to be a value that we're going to be changing depending on what the condition returns back. So we're just setting up a holding variable in order for that, and checking to see if email and if it includes. So using the string method includes. So we want to make sure that the email includes the @ symbol. So if it doesn't include the @ symbol, then we know we have an issue there with what the form is being submitted, and we need to update the message to say, please enter a valid. So this is going to be a very simple check, and you can add in additional conditions as well. And a lot of times you'll see that regular expressions are used to make sure that there's a pattern match. But in this case, we want to highlight the string method includes. So this is a way that we can check to see if that string includes a certain value. And if it does, then we can just write email is valid. And we can go ahead and we can submit that. So let's also take the document, get element by ID, or select the element with the ID of message. So it's going to be able to give us an option to communicate back to that user whatever happened with the email address. So we're checking to see if it's valid and providing a message back to the user. And we want to make sure that this is actually checking for the string value. So that's under the val. So under the value. So let's just update that and try it out. So now when we hit it, there's not a valid email address. And let's see if we do get a valid email address. So we do see that this is a valid email address because it's just checking for the @ symbol within that input field when we're submitting it.